And one of the key findings or key message that you have picked, especially under the Tomorrow Cities project, the multi-asset led in Nairobi by the Nairobi Urban Risk App, is it's quite important to understand the risks, for building future resilient African cities. And we have engaged strongly. Go to the next slide, Joel. Yes, we have engaged quite for the last for the last 6 months. We have engaged with the Nairobi city officials, and the way they are really appreciating and acknowledging research is very important, and of course sharing with us the understanding of the different disaster risks and how they are approaching from practice to policy. So it's quite important for the African cities to really engage with the researchers and also with the practitioners, with the local communities, to come into a common understanding of the different disaster risks facing the city so that they can generate some of the policy evidence. Next slide. The second key lesson that has got a policy perspective is that it's quite important to develop integrated policy framework for support building of future African resilient cities. And this one, using the case of Nairobi City under the Tomorrow Cities Hub, we did engage with the city sectors and of course the key stakeholders, the experts, to really understand what are some of the global, regional, national, and local and city-based policy frameworks. And if you look at that slide, we did use the timeline for Nairobi from 2010. Why 2010? It's very important is because that was the time Kenya promulgated the new constitution, where it created 47 autonomous county governments, and Nairobi City County Government is one of the 47 county government. But when you look at the below the timeline, you look at the transition of Nairobi City in terms of developing its policy framework towards building its resilience. But how much has it leveraged from the global, regional, and the national policy framework? If you look at the upper, the top policies, that they are quite intense in terms of at the national level, there's a lot of work that is also happening. And if you look, for instance, the integrated Nairobi City Plan of 2014, and in 2016, the national government spearheaded the process of developing the new urban agenda. That managed to integrate, especially the resilience and sustainability aspect. So it tells us that there is need, especially to encompass or to incorporate the different sectors and different policies and kind of build understand the points of convergence and divergence, so that the contestations and the potential conflict that will emerge in terms of developing the policy and operationalizing is actually mitigated. Lastly, is it's quite important to develop, generate evidence, especially to inform planning and also catalyze lesson learning in African context if we are to prepare future African resilient cities. And we have learned quite a lot, especially with the engagement with the Nairobi City sector-wide consultation, whereby we are looking at the policy frameworks like the standard operating procedures developed at the national level in Kenya, where it's recommended that all sectors have to contribute strongly to building resilient cities. And it's quite important, especially if you look in the next slide, that is in the urban agenda for Kenya. There is a picture in the last page and the top cover. And if you look at those different sectors, from the ecosystem, from residential areas, from sport facilities, from industrial places, how do we really build these systems together in a very harmonized way, and also in a way that incorporates all the experts, the high-level policy experts, and also the local communities. So there is need to really generate evidence so that we don't kind of move forward in systems whereby there are potential or actually quite feasible areas of conflicts or likelihood of kind of exceeded in terms of capacity in the future based on the current projection on climate change.